now. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Apparently we're live. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. And then what you hear in the background is Frank destroying the house, apartment. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Welcome. It's Saturday morning. This is the Art of Rock. First and foremost, I want to acknowledge the Tongva people for being the rightful, original, traditional landowners of where I am. That's Hollywood, California, mainly LA. Also, the Shishumi up at Malibu. And find out who your peoples are. Learn to know their name. That's it. Let's start there and thank them for surviving. Join us every Saturday here on Angelspit's Twitch, where we're going to talk about music and getting over the darkness of making music and how making music is bloody difficult, but it's rewarding, apparently. You can also watch it on Angelspit's YouTube. This is brought to you by Angelspit's Patreon. I thank you for being here. I thank you for the support. For as little as $3 a month, you can support Angelspit's Patreon, or join for free. And there's a whole bunch of content that's there. The new album, which is called Red End, and I'm very fucking proud of this album. I listened to it again the other day, and I didn't hate it. Thank you, Frank. You heard that, right? You fucking heard that. He is on it. That's there, and Patreon supporters are going to get a free copy. It's going out now, a little ahead of schedule. Thank you, schedule. If there are little bite marks in it, I apologize. I don't want to throw anyone under the bus, but someone has been chewing on the, little snap-lock bag. So if you've got that, that's Frank telling you that he loves you. The Industrial Incisions playlist, so they're just little tiny teeth marks. He's very cute. The Industrial Incisions playlist. Go get some music, new music that you haven't heard, a music that you have heard. Go give it love. Finding your album. Learn to bloody get in there. I did that wrong. I'll do it again. Every Wednesday night, Vulture Culture does a deep dive into synthesizers, and it's really, 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 really excellent. Yeah, it's like Frank signed it. And everything is fucking crashing, but that's fine. I'm wearing my Vulture Culture. Fuck, I hate this software. My Vulture Culture t-shirt, and it's bloody awesome. Go do it. Support Alex. We gotta help that guy make his dreams happen. And he also fills us all with gas. Thank you, Frank. Oh God. Non-stop music from the bleeding edge, from whence we will be going after this. And go love them. And if you want to get involved, send them your video, and it's bloody awesome. Bam. They've also got a Patreon. Support them as well. If you want to make changes to this country, legal and constitutional, join Indivisible. It's great. Also, if you want a social media thing that doesn't have algorithms and BS, go join Dark Music. If you've got too much going on in the internets and you want to deal with it, MediaAddictsAnonymous.org. It's serious, kids, and we need to be taking this serious. Go check them out. Razi, thank you so much for hosting.
Hey, it's a delight to be here, and I want to know if the cat prefers Chinese plastic like mine does.
Yes, that's interesting.
It's he likes,
he likes
fascinated. Bite.
Yeah. And he loves it, and he's at the window right now, and he's about to go berserk.
Carry on. Thank you.
I also want to do a shout out to Ivan. This is Ivan's SoundCloud. Go get some Ivan. And also Kerry. This is Kerry's YouTube. Go get some Kerry. And also Adam's in here as well. So there's some Atom Bomb love. Boom. Here's Frank. Okay, so I'm going to be up and down today because someone is going psychotic. You can hear him running around the house like...
It's like tiny thunder.
Not if you live under me. Apparently the guy who lives is a very patient guy, and I'm very grateful. At 5
just comments on it casually once in a while. Oh yeah, cat. Like definitely, yeah.
Yeah, sound of thunder. I'm not talking about... Oh my God. So, gain staging. Ivan, you've had an amazing conversation about
Yeah,
gain stage. Let's go.
I used to not take that terribly seriously because I didn't know better.
So, give us some wisdom.
Well, I try to get every single track and every single component of every track down to, about 18 now. And like like suddenly I've got tons of headroom and my loops aren't going crazy upon occasion and everything's gotten better as a result. But you like really have to kind of be methodical about making sure that every component and in every track is, not peaking too high. It can't be going into the red. And I'm using Ableton, so able to march down every component of every track and get the instrument into a same level and get the effects into same levels and just make sure that there's nothing's going into the red, and then make sure that the track it's that track itself is not going into the red, and then I can add that all up. It ends up in the master, and then I watch the master, and the results are like just head and shoulders above what they had been. I'm so happy.
This is good. I think there's going to be a lot of conversation about this. Rosie, what do you got?
There's three totally different areas of where like checking your gain levels and how things are hitting different parts of a signal chain to come to mind for me. And the one that I've been dealing with most lately is like sort of day job stuff where I like do live audio mix, and it's keeping the levels just ridiculously low because we've got all the headroom we need. And I don't mean that universally. I mean that in certain places. So signal to noise at the mic. They've got wireless mics in this case. The pack's got to be transmitting at its nominal levels. Obviously, you can't cheat that too much. You don't want it to clip though. So give that as much gain. Listening to your loudest thing, like get the singer or vocalist to cough or laugh or something, that's really loud. And look for the peaks there. Get it so those don't even clip, maybe. It's probably going to be quiet enough if you've got a nice transmitter. Then at the receiver, you've got a little bit of gain to go also, like start with that at nominal and watch what those levels are at, do the whole thing again. Then wherever that's hitting your mixer, you probably want that one to be optimal, not clipping, but this is where I start adding extra headroom because half decent mixer, the channel line inputs are going to be pretty quiet if you're not using a mic pre at this point, or even if you are, they're probably going to sound all right. And I've been leaving like 20 or more. I mean, peak, like crazy amounts of headroom. And I'm not hearing hiss and I'm not accumulating a lot of like, oh, all the channels are open and nobody's making a noise and it's making noise. I'm fine with it. So the drummer and a guitarist and a vocalist will all be like peaking at minus 18, minus 20, really low. So I don't have to worry about it. And then I do the makeup gain trim stage so that everything's mixed, so that all my faders are at zero. Like that's where I bring it up to whatever the sane levels are for that channel. I do a little mixing with the makeup gain. Faders are all at zero, master is down pretty low, so I've got headroom there. And it's made things really easy. Nothing ever clips, and I can always bring stuff up. There's always like 10 dB of gain above unity on the faders, and there's always like I'll redo the mix on the trims instead of on the faders, so that my faders are all zero across the board until I need to push one up or bring one down, judiciously. And I'm also using gain control, dynamics control, compressors and limiters and stuff on the more dynamic channels, which leads us into actual music production and mixing stuff where we just like your internal processing gain staging isn't because it's going to clip, like anything 32-bit float in your chain from the fader to the buses to the master, you're not going to get clipping. You've got all, like for all intents and purposes, infinity headroom, but not all of your metering and effects and compressors and things are going to behave as you wish they would with this like wacko, things crazy up into the meters pinging off the edge. They're going to do things that you don't necessarily they're not consistent with what you'd expect. The compression ranges and the reverb lengths and things like that. And there are places that those can distort. So this is where you might, and we're fortunate, you can add gain stages at each of these things. Some of them have input trims. You can add the a utility into any part of that chain, and that keeps things a little bit more level for while you're working, from building your mix as you go along, so that you won't end up with any one channel or another that's like making all your faders down really low, or making your metering go crazy, or causing one of your other effects to be unpredictable. It's a great way to balance it out. So dropping in a utility or using your trims on the individual things there, keeping your levels relatively low, clipping at the inputs. Obviously, that's still, don't do it. Clipping at your outputs, obviously still don't do it. You can add saturation plugins that do it predictably, but getting, losing information at the inputs and output stages, it's going to limit you later. So, and then, this all sort of comes from a meticulous kind of calibration that we used to have to do with tape, so that our meters were even making sense. You calibrate the tape using tones, and you make sure that your levels going across match and your VU meters are at the same place. And things are a lot more forgiving there. But it is a similar analogy to predicting how the tape's going to behave as you go up in levels, predicting what your compressors and your digital domain are going to do too. And there's a million examples of that kind of stuff in the chain, but I'll leave it at that. So those are some of my thoughts.
That's amazing. Thank you so much. Kerry, what are your thoughts on this incredible topic?
Well, from my experience, the past probably about 3 months, I have been working on improving the quality sound of my music. And Isotope, if you're using Ableton, I swear, Isotope 11, and almost all of them have an auto gain little thing you can click, and it will make it so nothing's clipping I love that thing. I don't know if you have Isotope or not, but Sweetwater had it on sale a few months ago, and I grabbed it up, and it's a game changer. Just saying.
I appreciate that. That's fantastic. Thank you.
It almost feels like cheating.
Yes. Well, music's all about cheating, I think. It's about polishing a turd. That's the whole thing. So what I do is once I record everything, and I try and record everything so it's actually peaking, because I add a little bit of compression on the desk, and I stress a little bit, also a little bit of EQ on the desk. I stress a little bit. For me, pulling it digitally into the software at -6. Then I will pull it. So once I've pulled everything in, I then pull it into audio editing software, specifically like SoundForge. I always put a high pass on everything except the sub kick and the sub bass, and the high pass is usually 100, because most shit doesn't need to be down there. And if I'm processing stuff, I do not want it processing all this frequency shit as well. Like if it's compressing, I don't want the compressor taking that into attention. But I will normalize it to -1 dB, and I'll also sometimes compress it so the wave file itself is compressed. And I stress sometimes. Ice Planet 9000, I do not do that. I just normalize it. And then I'm adding EQ and everything. And EQ is actually, I mainly subtractive EQ stuff, so it's pulling the gain down as well. So by the time everything goes out, and then I drop the volumes on everything 12 dB. I don't know why. And then I also do noise. I get rid of any noise in there. I do noise on every single track, because I'm using a lot of modular outboard and analog stuff, which has got noise in it. And I do that as opposed to gates, just for reasons. I do that because I want everything at that I want the compressors working minimally, and I'm also trying to reduce as much of the CPU as I can. I also have Ozone, I think it's 11. I don't use it anymore just because of it's so CPU intensive for me. Because what I normally do is I will set something over each bus, like a compressor or a really slight multi-band compressor or something over every bus. And I stress slight. But yeah, so that's what I do. It just gives me more control. That's how I do it in a live situation, peaking at -12. Yeah. Yeah. Razzie, your hand's still up. Did you want to jump in on this?
Yeah, one of the interesting mathematical things that we're talking about here is whether you've normalized your waveform or you're leaving it not using the top bits. It should null. It's identical. These are mathematically the same thing. You're just bringing up the noise floor. And that's definitely a matter of personal taste. Like Carl was saying, this is the levels he expects it to be coming in at, whereas I want all of my faders to be at 0, so I keep my levels lower, so cumulatively my master bus is going to be close to where I need it without bringing my faders down, because it feels wrong to me to not have the full fader range on the screen, even though you can sort of stretch it out or make your faders taller. There's a thing about seeing the faders attenuated. I don't know, maybe I'm just holding on to like old analog days where it might have made a difference, but it seems that as though the resolution at the bottom of the fader travel isn't as good as if you've got it up in the middle. Maybe that's not even a thing. I don't know. But it's why I don't bother normalizing anything, and I leave the levels just kind of where they are, recorded to tape, so to speak. Once it's in the file, as long as it's not clipped, I don't worry so much about maximizing it. I used to do that a lot. I definitely know where you're coming from, but
Interesting. Yeah, really interesting. It's just fascinating how there's a lot of different ways to get to the mountain of good song. So many ways to get to the mountain of good song. Does anybody else want to talk about gain staging, or we could talk about something else? I see a hand.
I had one interesting piece of signal flow that bit me a few times, and there's a TC Electronic internal card, like a processor. I don't remember which thing it's called, but it was one of the first, takes the VSTs off of your CPU and runs a bunch of TC Electronic branded effects on the card, kind of like a TDM system or whatever. And it was not floating point. It was 16-bit, like,
How old is this?
30, 40 years
So that was a
old.
card.
Yeah, it was a PCI or ASA or
Because I had one of
ISA
them for
card.
Yamaha. It was
Yeah,
the Yamaha. I fucking love that thing.
The effects are fantastic and the controls are great, but it would clip at plus or minus, like DBFS at like minus 2 or 3. You couldn't go over once that card was in the chain, even though you're still inside the computer, which was a strange sensation because you're so used to everything being able to soak up whatever level you give it. And suddenly you instantiate one of these that looks just like a VST or an audio unit, but it's actually going digitally into the card and truncating at 16 bits full scale, which is still more headroom than you really need. But it was my introduction to digital gain staging, where it's like, oh, okay, there is actually this particular effect has a hard wall and does not sound good if you exceed 0 dBFS at 16 bits. So
It's really interesting that I question. Recording stuff in. I'll go as low as 24-bit, 44.1. That's as low as I'll go, because when you go into 16-bit, you start getting issues in mixing. And when everything gets put together, there's issues. But sometimes I really do question, like, because there is something wonderful about 24-bit. In fact, I think Cronkhouse was 16-bit. I think. Was that 24-bit? I don't remember. But there's something really magic about. I know KMFDM did everything 1644 up until a few years ago, which is mind-blowing. And And Suffer.exe, welcome. Natalie, welcome. Super Tablespoon, welcome. And thank you for your kindness on the Ice Planet 9000. Yeah, it's just really interesting how there is a difference in sound, and how if you use an effects unit that is 16-bit, you can introduce some really interesting sounds into it, which is what's so lovely about old effects machines, is that they add something nice to it. I still see your hand creeping up. Please go.
The difference between, I think 16-bit is like 104 decibels of 144 decibels of dynamic range. So 24-bit is, do the math, multiply each one of those extra bits by 2, so it's the thousands of decibels potentially, I think, theoretically. But you've got a lot of headroom in a 16-bit file. And if there's so much more to it than just like how many bits the file you render out is, your internal processing on the DAW, what you recorded it at, all of your actual your A to Ds are doing it at 1 bit just really fast anyway. So it's kind of weird. Like, I think the joke being vinyl is actually digital because nobody actually records in analog.
Well, I see your Kerry and Bert, I see your hands. Just give me a sec. This is interesting because what you were saying about what was left over for you from analog, the reason I bring levels up is that was left over for me from 24-bit, 16-bit, because I sure as shit was doing everything digital with 16-bit in the 90s. And I learned in the 90s that everything's got to be within normalized to like -1 dB, because 16-bit, it needs
your stuff's going to sound quiet if it doesn't.
And also the quieter it gets, you notice it becomes shitty. Jen, it's so good to see your face. I got your email. Totally cool, baby. Thank you for joining, and you're always welcome here. I want to say hi. I think Rob's in. Rob's here. Okay, Brett, talk to me. I want to hear your thoughts. And Kerry, your hand went down. What's going on? Rob, talk to me. Brett, talk to me.
So I just, I don't know what bitrate I was trying to look here at the Quadraverb too. I don't know what bitrate it is, but I know pairing it with the DX7 was a really good idea. One of the things I did with it actually is I stereoized the DX7. That by itself was pretty cool. Gives it a lot more dimension. It was kind of in line with what you were talking about with 16-bit effects.
Yeah. Oh, the joys of old gear. Carrie, what do you think?
There's my mic. Might be a little bit irrelevant, but I have been fighting. I have a recently acquired a Roland SP404, and I've been fighting with getting on. Finally, I have the right type of SD card to get it on there, but my files still weren't going. I had to get them down to 16-bit, the WAV files. It would not take 24. I started with 30, was it 32? And nope. 24, nope. And I had to get it down to 16.
Yeah, same with 1644s, same with the Kurzweil K2000s, and a lot of stuff like the Emacs. When you're pulling stuff into that, will automatically shrink it into technically 8-bit. And also the emulators. Most emulators are 44.1 16-bit.
Yeah,
Raziel. Yeah, but it adds grit, man.
it does. Yeah,
It really does.
That is the thing.
and I can tweak it out, and still I can still keep what I want, the essence.
And I'm always wondering, is it because I'm a wanker, or is it because no, I am a wanker, and that's one of my character skills, wanker. Is that I listen to stuff that's done on low bit rate, and like I pulled in the K2000 the other day on this fucking track. You know how like 2 months ago I was complaining about that fucking track? I'm still complaining about that fucking track. And we were talking about Jello by Afra before we went live. I stole a really great quote of his from Australian he did this interview in Australia, Raziel, I'll get to you in a sec, where he was saying, the guy said, so tell me about yourself. And Jello goes, I'm a devil worshipping pornographer. And he did it in that beautiful deadpan Jello voice. And it was like, oh my God, that's so funny.
I think he
Because
might have been just quoting Tipper Gore's description of him.
That's great. I think he was actually. But yeah, but anyway, I digress. Razi, tell me about your 16-bit dreams.
There's two things that come to mind. You were all just verging on, but I like the way it sounds. And Brett, you're talking about the quad reverb. Spec sheet says that samples at 31.25 kilohertz for it's 16-bit depth, but so the Nyquist is 15 kilohertz. So if you're lost your hearing as an older person, it's fine. You're not missing anything on that one. And Carrie, I also wanted to go back to you mentioning the songwriting and studio functions in the Ozone and other. What company were you talking about? Isotope. Thank you. Yes.
I got the package that had the Nectar, the Ozone, and some RX.
The thing that they added in that's really neat, and this is pretty much on gain staging, but it's very much on mixing and studio work, is their little function that they have is to normalize based on energy in the original versus the processed. So you can listen to two things at the same relative
you can
level.
bypass. Yeah.
And if they do, it's like a normalized bypass so that even when you're turning off the processing, it's not just giving you a louder presentation. And that's so much of what makes things sound better is when they're 3-5 dB louder. Any A/B testing or ABX testing, quiet, normal, louder, quiet, normal, louder.
Yeah.
The louder one every time is going to jump out at you. So their little feature to get you past being fooled by that is that normalized based on all the processing and gain that they've added during the way, which is a really interesting bit of gain staging technique on how your mix comes out. Because man, to remember to like turn your volume down or match gains and stuff it's a lot. But it's a great thing that they've included that.
Yeah, I'm really impressed with it, and I mean just the quality of it, the sound quality. I'm improving with it. It's fun. Yeah.
No,
I
that's
use their
good.
spectral editing all the time as the waveform. Instead of a waveform, I'll do waveform and spectrum waterfall. It's like a great way to edit. Oh, I need to remove a notch of frequency stuff instead of just time stuff. Doink, select, remove.
And to polish, I use either Velvet or Plasma. And I use those two, and I just love it. It makes it sound rich. And of course, I don't go by their preset. Well, I might do the presets, but then I tweak it out to my liking. Anyways.
That's delightful. Thank you. Also, I just want to throw out there, there's a GoFundMe for Drake from 40 Octaves Below. I don't have the URL. If somebody can help me out by throwing the URL specifically into anywhere at all so I can promote this, because if you got a couple of bucks, we got to help out Drake. It's kind of serious. One hell of a remixer, I will add. And a bloody good book. Thank you, Diana. Okay, I'm just going to put this in the chats. GoFundMe for Drake. There it is. Boom. Let's go help him out. He's a fucking good bloke. He's one of the family. We've got to look after him. Did anybody else want to talk about gain staging? Do we want to talk about olden days fucking reverb units? Or we could talk about weird recording techniques. Let's talk about weird recording techniques. Razi, tell me, blow my mind.
The idea was really seeking therapy more than to introduce anything, but maybe people in our group have a strange method for getting stuff recorded or finished that they don't use all the time, but that they can sort of rely on to get inspired. Change your mind about what you're supposed to be working on. Oh yeah, this is a thing I do. I love doing that. Let me go do that. It's weird. Takes too much effort. It's a piece of equipment that you don't have anymore, but you're gonna rebuy. I don't know.
I try to I'm trying to get into the habit of running things through effects first, and actually using the effects as a part of the same chain. It's the sound chain as well, because it's a part of my philosophy that I want to get back. The of I want to get back to dedicating stuff to tape. That's what I'm trying to get back to, and I'm
Commit
trying.
early.
Yeah, and I'm also really looking at a lot of. I'm on a '90s bender right now. I'm looking at a lot of what they did in the '90s to create sounds because utilizing more outboard gear or soft synths. Excuse me, as if they were outboard gear. Um,
Yeah, if you've only got one quad reverb, you've got to print it every time you want to use it.
yeah, yeah. Although, really quickly, because I see Brett's hand and I'm interested in this. Okay, so hold on. So one thing I do is I will set up a reverb, once I get a mix going on the door, I'll set up a reverb using sends, and I'll send it to an exterior device. I always go back to the bat fucking reverb from noise engineering because it's so fucking good. And I will just say that I was looking at a new piece of gear, but I decided to help Drake out instead because Drake's fucking awesome. God damn it, I've lost the damn fucking thing already. Fuck. So yeah, instead of buying gear, I'm going to help out Drake. Yeah, so I'll actually print that as its own track. And a really fun thing about once you have a reverb track with everything, you can go and EQ it and you can pull it out. So all of a sudden everything's dry once you're in the door, and then you can pull everything else out. So it's just reverb. Yes, you can do that with fucking sendings and shit, but fuck that shit.
But if you printed it, then you can flip it around and put it before the event. You can't do
Yes.
that in real time with your outboard stuff, can you?
That's sexy. Also, listening to what Led Zeppelin did, Hendrix did, like listening to stuff Beach Boys did. Listening to stuff when they had no fucking idea what they were doing and it was archaic, and fuck with that shit. Even to the point of sticking a speaker in the bathroom and putting two mics in there as well to see what happens. Yeah, the whole fun with making music is it's critical to get back to that because yeah, I'm on a massive fucking '90s bender. Brett, what are your thoughts on this?
So early on, I used to tape exclusively, right? So I had a 4-track, but before I could afford the 4-track, the way I would do multi-tracking is with 2 tape recorders and an air gap. Well, you had to plan for distortion because you're going to get generation loss, and so you had to plan in advance what you wanted to be the most distorted. Um, to that regard, I used later generations after I got tools and whatnot, like Cool Edit Pro, where I could select a noise profile and strip that out of the audio or out of the sample. I would still employ generation loss distortion, as I called it, or kind of called it, right? I never gave it an official name. But one of the things that I would do is I would take my jam box, if you will. At that time, it was one of these little separatable things where you can move the speakers around, right? And I would set it on different drones. So I found if I put the speaker on the snare drum, for example, you could get the snares going, and of course that gave a sound. One of the more interesting distortions was actually the bass drum, and it was partially because of all the things you could do in that space to uh, to manipulate the outcome. So one, if you don't mute it, it wants to be a boomy kind of reverby environment. If you mic it from the outside, you get more than a generation's worth of loss. It's probably closer to about 1.2, 1.5, depending on where you mic it. That is another 0.2. Miking it near the rim gives you a different timbre than miking it center on. Adding things like pillows or in my case, manila folders against the head produced a cool effect. And they were all just, hacker kind of items that I had around the house and could scrounge up and throw against it to make distortions. And that's before I could afford a nice distortion box. How I accomplished that for years.
That it reminds me of prepared piano and other techniques like that, where you're just sticking uh, screws and nails and staples and pieces of loose foil and stuff on your vibrating strings of your piano and coming up with the random, you know, effects of unknown things stuck in surprising places with some amount of randomness. And it also, like, the idea of putting your amp in the bathroom and putting a couple of mics up is like the very earliest thing I can remember about like my own experience of how to listen critically to a thing. And I think I've said it before, but after doing that, I found myself much more able to hear the room in people's recordings. Like, oh, that sounds like the guitar amp and the mic is 10 feet away in the middle of a track, and it was a technique that I didn't have before doing that. And being able to experiment with what is in the room, whether it's manila folders or the speaker on the drum, or I think there's a story of Steve Lillywhite recording early U2 the Edges guitars with like cutlery strewn on the steps and the loud guitar amp shaking that, knives and forks or something like that. And there's a lot of beauty you can get out of the chaos and strangeness of that. Makes you want to go record something though.
May I just? So I am, thank you, Brett. I was listening to that while that was fucking great, man. I am such a believer in the pingy shitty mic technique for drums, which is you hang a mic over a fan and it's one mic, like it's a fucking 57, and you record each drum 5 times or 7 times or 9 times, not 4 times or 8 times. It's only because when you use them, it's most likely they're going to be overlapping. And you might also do a fucking bang and then a tap. And you do that with, all the instruments. Or if you're playing a loop, fucking play the loop. You will get the best fucking like, it's so fucking beefy. And if you're being crazy, you could put up 2 mics, but you got to be careful of the L phasing. And when you start compressing and driving that shit, it is the most John Bonham fucking shit you will come up with. I'll do it like that. I don't really record the kick because the kick for me always ends up electronic. It really sucks. I've got this fucking great like analog 909 thing from Hex Inverter, and it's the most wicked kick drum fucking blasphemy you've ever heard. It's like a 909 on a lot of acid. And holy shit, it pumps, but I always never end up using it, which is a catastrophe. But no, and then you gate that shit. So yeah. Thank you. This is great. And of course, if you can, I got offered, fucking Seth offered me his RV5 Yamaha or an RV7, I don't remember. And foolishly, because I was moving to LA, I went, no, I probably can't. I regret it. I should have taken it. Because to this fucking day, it's got the best fucking gate. Best fucking gate on that old piece of shit. That's probably like 22K or something. But it's really like, and look, is it just me? Or hold on, if you're talking about construction time again, Diana, I'm getting all excited. I've got to have shit in front of me to use it. I've really got to have it there. Otherwise, I forget it's there and I don't, because I'm such a lazy bum. This is another thing, is that Lux Voltaire in his studio doesn't have a chair. And he's always around on his knees and up and down and everywhere. And I used to hate that. And now I'm thinking, you know what? Maybe there's something really good in that because you're constantly moving around. Yeah, I don't know. Anyway,
I had my whole setup that way for years, just no chair and just a standing height main synth controller and the computers and stuff.
Yeah.
It's cool.
Yeah. Anyway, Does anybody else want to jump in at this stage and talk about this, or do we want to change it on over? We actually have a question from the Twitch from Super Tablespoon. And I have foolishly deleted it because I wrote it down, and it was something to do with MIDI controllers or MIDI multi something. Could you put the question down there again so we can pose it, Super Tablespoon? Yeah. And also, while that's happening, a little reminder, go help out Drake. Now, because Super Tablespoon's question, right, multi-MIDI user-friendly door. I don't know what that means. I crawled out of the 70s. It's a fucking great place to crawl out of, let me tell you. So are you actually looking for a MIDI thing? Or what? Or are you looking for software? Help. Because,
And also, what specific multi-MIDI kind of thing are we looking for here? Like, what's the goal more than what?
yeah, I got a feeling looking for multi-MIDI software to run into a single input. Thank you. Okay, so a suggestion on that is I use Cubase. A lot of the guys here use Ableton. What's the free one? DaVinci or something? What's the free one? There's a free one. In fact, even better. So
A lot of them come with your stuff.
5 MIDI into a singular MIDI input. DaVinci. Does DaVinci actually do MIDI sequencing? Because, like, are you saying that there's 5 different inputs going into the one thing? In a situation like that, we're talking about hardware. I use a Motu thing. Is this helping? Does anybody else? Okay, Brad, I'm throwing it to you now.
Hey, all right. So if your computer has a single MIDI, right? One of the ways you're gonna get multiple instruments to work is by using ports. So all of these guys here, they all tie to a Motu 8x. It's actually the MIDI Express 128. What that does is it gives me 8 MIDI ports on the outside to attach to different devices. And these aren't terribly expensive. And then it gives you USB and MIDI back to your DAW. To that regard, it doesn't really matter what DAW you use because you're dealing with hardware at that point. You're actually routing signals. But the trick in the DAW to making all of these respond is using ports. And so in FL Studio, for example, I could define this in my MIDI out, but I've got labels on each one of these that are reminders to me about which instrument goes to what MIDI port. And then each MIDI port has a set of 16 channels that you can run.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Brett. I just put in there Brett was talking about the Motu MIDI Express 128, and there's a link there to one for $100 at Guitar Center. Oh, Jesus Christ! I don't know if you're hearing this or not. Mike is starting to go, no, fuck you, I hate you, and I'm saying, hey, computer, I fucking hate you too, you bastard. So did you get that? Yes. Nod heads for yes. I'm going to say that again because I don't. All right, you did hear that. Great. Razi, talk to me.
One of the things that comes up with Super Tablespoon's question is the idea of that, do you actually need 5 sources of MIDI control to go into your computer concurrently and be merged or streamed to different tracks? Or can you get away with one that switches? And what you really need is 5 audio streams into your computer to have the audio being recorded. Because I'm not absolutely sure which one it is in this case yet. But if you do need 5 sources of MIDI, because these keyboards are generating note ons and offs, or you've got 5 people playing, or you've got your elbows on two and your hands on the others, or one of them's a sequencer and you want to play them all and record the results of that to separate tracks on separate MIDI channels, then yeah, well, you know, something like with 8 inputs or 8 individual USB cheapo 2-channel in and outs, or you know, 4 of them would do it. There's a lot of solutions, and the fortunate thing is about the DAW is all of them support this. Doesn't matter which one you get. If you start with Ableton Free or GarageBand or Cubase or Logic or whatever, I mean, I think even, well, whatever. They all support channelizing and multiple channels of MIDI. And you say coming out of the computer, that's fine. If you played in track 1 on one MIDI controller, track 2 on another, on the same MIDI controller onto a new track, track 3, 5 tracks, played them back, channelize them out to 5 ports, that's even easier because most things you can just send MIDI channelization per track. So track 1 is on MIDI channel 1, track 2 is on MIDI channel 2, and so on, and just use the through if your keyboards or receiving devices all have ins and throughs to echo it back, and then you don't even need the extra ports. But if you did, you could get like an 8-port MIDI box that has 2 inputs and 8 outputs or something like that, and there's lots of those. And then your computer absolutely can send 8 different parts to 8 different keyboards all day long with no problems, without having to do anything fancy on the input even. So there's a ton of ways of approaching this.
Thank you very much. And also, I just put the link to the Zoom in there. So if you want to jump in, Super Tablespoon, and if we could call you by your real name, that would be awesome. But although Super Tablespoon, it's got quite a jig to it. Hey, looky, just jumped in. Making sure I can see your face, and let me know what your real name is, because I like calling people by their real name. But before we jump to you to go into the question more, here's Kerry. Kerry's muted. Kerry's muted.
Son of a gun. There we go. I use 2 different things. I could use the Zoom R20 recorder mixer, connect to it, and have my instruments into that and have it connected to Ableton, or I have the APC64 Pro that you can add in. You can sequence even your synthesizers through that, and also connect it to Ableton.
Hey guys, my name's Austin. It's just really nice to meet you guys.
Welcome, Austin.
Being here.
Hello,
I
Austin.
really appreciate it. Yeah, I inherited a PA 800, and it's got 8 MIDI. Can you guys hear me? Okay, is the audio good? Okay. It's got eight MIDI inputs, but I'm trying to get the most out of it I can, and I've got kind of an underpowered computer, so I'm wondering, is there like a USB adapter so I can get the most out of each of these inputs while I'm, turning these knobs on this audio switcher and things like that? Does that make sense? I hope it does.
Yes. Is that a Korg PA 800?
That is it's a Crate PA 800.
Crate. Krate?
CRATE.
Because I had to go with the tricky spelling.
Yeah, well, you never know. You never know nowadays. You never know.
All right, I'm not familiar with this, so I'm having a looky-loo. Oh!
If I can jump in while you're checking that.
Please.
Keeping the distinction between what MIDI does and what audio does in this conversation is going to be critical too, because MIDI channels and MIDI inputs and MIDI ports and audio channels are all unrelated as far as how many things each device has. So you might be able to get away with 0 MIDI whatsoever. Not even using MIDI, not recording MIDI, not playing MIDI back, but simply recording the audio output of your devices into the mixer. Just step one. And then
that's kind of what I'm getting at.
Okay, cool.
It's a mixer.
Yes. It's a powered mixer even for your PA system. So let's
Yeah,
just leave it at that. As the first step to really like conquering this, recording multiple passes of one thing is like get there, and that is to say, select track 1, hit the record enable, play your part. Select track 2, hit the record input, listen to part 1 and play part 2. Audio, no MIDI. Getting started with that is probably maybe even get you further. Then on the way back out of the computer next week, let's say, you can have these individual tracks from the DAW going to the individual channels on the mixer and use the faders to do your work without even
Yeah,
involving MIDI.
absolutely. That's kind of what I was. I appreciate that. Thank you so much, Razi.
You bet.
This is such a sexy, sexy machine. So, what is it you are actually trying to do?
I'm into Avant stuff. Like I was really inspired by Ice Planet a little bit, and Dark Sky Burial, which is Shane Embry's group. But yeah, I don't want to drop too many names in here because I don't want to. But I was really just right now. I have to watch my treble limits because I have a big yard and it kind of I don't want to disturb the neighbors. So I'm doing a lot of low bass kind of Ice Planet stuff. Really like the Avant stuff. So I'll get 10 hours of construction recording. Big fan of Revco. The Revolting Cocks. And I'll get 10 hours of construction recording, and then maybe 10 hours of some music and fade in and fade out with this mixer here, and kind of use this mixer as an instrument because I'm just using what I have and having fun. We used to use record players and multiple output audio input output things and make all kinds of spooky noises, and I kind of missed that, playing with spooky record players and scaring all my friends and stuff like that. So this mixer was really cool to acquire, and so I had some questions about it, and you guys knocked it out of the park.
Okay, we're not done yet. Hang around. Brett, what are you thinking?
So I'm looking at this mixer, my dude. Are you talking about the round ports across the top?
I am talking about the round ports across the top. What are those? Are just inputs, correct?
Those are actually balanced microphone ports, if you will, or balanced audio ports. They're not MIDI. So
Okay.
that's going to help you out first and foremost. What that's going to allow you to do is so you can there's lots of different ways to get sound in and out of systems, right?
Okay.
You've got a couple of options there. It looks like one of which is common, and you'll see this actually on a lot of even modern mixers now. You'll see that it has, like, for a given channel, say channel 1 there. You've got your monitor, you've got your then you've got your EQ, that's your next 3 knobs. I can't read the switch, but then it looks like you have a 1/4 inch and a balance input. And these are typically either ors. So what it means is you can take your guitar back there. So you got a guitar. You're probably going to go 1/4 inch from your amp into this thing. Your singer, when he comes over, or you, whomever, is whatever, they're probably going to take the microphone cable and they're going to go in one of the balance cables. If you expand this and you want to start attaching other mixers and other high performance things, you're going to want to stick in those balanced ports. And even if you get a mixer later on down the road that only has balanced ports, they make adapters to take them back 1/4 inch, and so those are just audio inputs there. You can save yourself a lot of headache by not having to worry about the MIDI part of this right now with this device. As Razi was telling you, you're going to be straight up audio, which is going to simplify your world.
Correct. So you can get audio into those ports up top and fade them in and out regardless. And then when I get a hold of some software, we'll worry about that later on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Brett, sorry. If you're still going on a rant, Brett, I want to hear it. All right. Okay. So also, like Brett was saying, those top ones that's got the 3 inputs, they're for microphones and guitars and stuff. This is actually a really cool mixer
It's
because
nice. It's nice.
you could be doing some fun feedback things as well.
Yeah, and I've got nice ultra vibrato and things like that. And a very nice thing.
Yeah. Yeah, you could be doing some really nice, like, you could be pulling a whole bunch of different things, like different sources in here, like you were saying about the big recordings and stuff, and you could be playing soundscapes. So you
Yeah,
can,
yeah,
you know,
that's what I was going for.
I love it. And you can be controlling the volumes and the EQs. And then you can be doing really fun stuff, like either throwing it to a PA, utilizing feedback through the PA, or doing some absolutely amazing big recordings, excuse me, and stuff.
No,
Because it's got,
I have a PA, but yeah, that helps. Just using your guitar input and using the phaser, flanger, and delay. I've made some wonderful noises. So, man, thank you guys so much. What a blessing.
yeah, baby, we live for this nerdery because this ties in really nicely to what we were saying before about weird recording techniques. Because the other great thing about this guy is it's old, and it's old and it's pure analog. And old stuff from the 80s was kind of built better because it's now 40 years old and it's still cracking. So when you start driving the inputs of this stuff, and you can get some really nice sounds. So you might run a synthesizer, a drum, whatever, a guitar through this and actually distort the inputs of this. Like you said, you've inherited it, so you got nothing to lose. And plus, come on, man, this thing's built like a fucking tank.
Well, I got it with Angelspit in mind. My grandmother was, she had a Roland D50, and I grew up playing with that and stuff. And so I just, was a big fan of analog sound. Nurse Grenade blew my mind away. So thank you guys so
Thank
much.
you. Wow, dude, my grandma didn't have a D50. My grandma had an old Lowry organ, but it did have a wicked foxtrot beat on it.
Now, did it have an audio in and out on it?
No, it only had audio out, but it had the big
Yeah,
speakers.
that's cool. That is cool.
Yeah, and it had a beautiful smell about it.
I,
You know how these old organs have that smell? And
yeah.
I've since found out that the drum machine, of course, it's gone. That the drum machine built into that organ is some collectible Maestro fucking drum
Wow.
machine or something, because it sounds like a 909.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, like a CR78, like an old 808. It's got that fucking sound. It had
Thump,
the
good
it's
thump.
great.
Yeah.
And I read in an interview where G. Michael Jarre said he had a something, and he pushed two beats down at the same time, and the drum machine would play both beats, and you could do that with her organ. Oh, it's fucking great. And the bass pedals, big, beautiful, warm.
Yeah, I had an SD Freedom 2 that I was breaking down into a project and trying to. It was just a big piece of furniture, so I tried to take it apart and size it down into a drawer. We got so close. We got one pin connector off, and I blew the thing up, man. And I think I may redo that project, but after that, it was just fooling with broken record players and scaring my friends and stuff, and always loved it.
All about scaring friends. And also taking like outdoors, like you were saying, getting an outdoor recording and running that through a phaser, flanger, or
Yes,
Madness.
I love the sound of birds in the morning.
Yeah. And then you can distort them and they sound like napalm in the morning.
Yes, sir.
So hang around, don't leave unless you have to leave, but this is fun.
No,
Join us.
I'm full. My belly's full. We got time.
Okay, Rezi, what are you thinking?
I'm not exactly sure why this comes to mind, but with that mixer and this attitude and these sort of influences, the no input mixing technique might be an interesting thing to like at least sort of follow my prompt about weird shit that you don't usually do but inspires you to do something. And that is just take one of the channel insert outputs and plug it into the next channel input and get a feedback loop, or stick like your distortion pedal in that loop, or this mixer has Don't do it with the powered outputs though into a channel. Don't take the amplified outputs.
So this is interesting because the other day I accidentally did that, and it was reverb feeding
Oh,
back,
yeah.
and it was fantastic. And I didn't let it get out of control because that's the beautiful thing about reverb, and all, like you can just
ride the fader.
you can ride it,
Yeah.
and also that's something I love doing. Like whenever I'm doing live sound, you got to ring the hall out, and it's just delightful.
Yeah.
Just writing reverb, writing this feedback. It is and obviously this bloody crate thing's it's got speakers built into it, so you can be doing that.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful thing, especially when you get into low end, because remember, feedback is sine waves, kinda. So
Until you
get,
distort it, and then they approach square, and then now you've got a whole palette.
yeah. Oh God, yeah, I love doing that. And
There's a really good like tradition of people doing this, and you can check out YouTube for how to set it up and which channels to plug into which and what to do with the EQs and levels just to get started with it if anybody's interested. And I was on a kick with this about a year ago and I sort of forgot about it, but this is a nice reminder that no input mixing is this sort of technique.
Also, Kerry, I see your hand was up. I just want one more thing is that your crate Austin has got down the side of it, it's got a whole bunch of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 EQs, and you can be using them with the feedback thing. So if nothing's happening, you just start turning up a certain frequency, and if it starts going well, you turn it down really quickly. But you can start riding it. It's like surfing, but really exciting, and wear earplugs.
Okay, that sounds great. So I just had to type that down in my little note box there. I take notes every time because you guys it's so much information. I appreciate it, guys.
That's what we're here for. Cherry, talk to me. You had your hand up.
No, I think it was Brett who had his hand up. But I have to excuse myself because barbecue ribs are ready now. I apologize. It's been great talking to you guys.
Did you bring enough for everybody?
Fuck you, Kerry.
Well, excuse me.
We're not calling you Miss Kerry.
It was great talking to you.
No, you're not fucking going anywhere. You know. I want to know, what are you putting on your ribs? Are they a rub or what are they?
Well, James had them. There's a stuff. My dad lives in Oklahoma, and it's called good shit. And then it's a whole line of spices, and it's a thing. It actually is called good shit. So he put that on with a little bit of mustard at first to get that vinegary and twangy taste. And has going. And I was up at 4 something this morning, making homemade pasta salad and cherry cobbler.
God damn.
And we have my mother-in-law over, who's very sweet. But I had to jump in and join you guys first. But
wow.
I'm in a mid.
Carl, I gotta go.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna go eat ribs.
Road trip.
Bye.
Fuck. Come to St.
you.
Louis. You can have some. Yeah.
Thank you, Miss Carey.
Oh, thank you. It was great talking to you. Please join us again. Continue.
Yeah, you got the URL.
Yeah.
Join us again.
Yeah. All right. Bye, guys.
Have
I
fun,
gotta
Kerry,
have
and love to
ribs.
the puppy, Steve.
Yes, I will. Steve's doing great. Thank you.
All right,
All
you're
right,
on.
bye, guys.
So I'm on a fucking fast, and that really didn't help. I'm
not on a fast, and that killed me.
Awfully fucking fast. Brett, talk to me.
Hey, Austin, one other thing you said there, I thought I might could give you a tip on. You were talking about using high frequencies, whatever, so you don't disturb your neighbors. You've actually got that relationship inverted. It's going to be your low frequencies that punch through everything. I'll give you an example on cell phone technology. Like the old 900 megahertz beepers, you could get them underground in a freaking underground nuclear bunker. You cannot get modern cell phone through 5 foot of concrete, much higher frequency. So what I'm saying is, in your house, watch. Either way, it's going to be all about your energy levels that you're pushing out. But what's going to make it through the walls of your house and your neighbors and everything like that are actually those lows. So if you're pumping in a lot of heavy lows, you may want to like drop it on headphones or something like that until you get your mix right, and then
For sure.
on.
For sure.
Lovely stuff. And this thing's got, oh, I'm loving this thing. Razi, talk to me.
I think the classic example, Brett, is either pulling up to the club and you hear the bass first, or the car that's pulling up to the club, you hear the bass all the way down the street and not the hi-hats.
Well, if it's constant, I'm sitting here constantly mixing an audio or something like that. I should raise my hand. I apologize. The lower frequencies seem to, disturb the neighbors less, or whatever it is. When I grew up, I used to have to wake up really early in the morning to go to school, and I used to like thrash metal a lot. Well, thrash metal kind of has a lot of high gain, and Anthrax was one of my favorites. But you hear that snare all the time, or God forbid, Motley Crue, which I don't listen to. And everybody would be waking up in the morning, so I had to pick a slower music with a lower wavelength because it wouldn't disturb, the people waking up, and I could kind of envelop myself in my own environment there. I hope my audio is coming through okay. Thank you guys.
Yeah, absolutely, for sure. Okay, so this has been amazing. Do we want to now move on over to another conversation of equal excitement? Because we were talking about how to get back into making your art after taking a break. Rosie, that was your idea and I liked it.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to jump into it?
Yeah.
Go.
Something you can rely on to remind you to get back to creating after taking a break. Something you can reliably go to that jumpstarts your passion for making stuff again after you've intentionally or unintentionally found yourself not making stuff. Does anybody have a thing like that?
Brett, I want to hear your brain.
What's been helping me are randomizers, randomizers and samples. Honestly, what I like about samples is they're easy to string together. FL Studio has an onboard sample library. It's huge, and you just literally grab sounds and copy it across. Something like that for your library, or maybe even an AI generated thing. Hey, give me 20 samples on a subject, and just to play with is honestly been huge in keeping me going. To that regard, I'll even now that I've added back the old synthesizers and such like that to get ideas and get familiar with working with them again, get familiar with this entire machine again. I'm literally, here, randomize a beat. Now let me start cycling instruments through it. Let me hit the dice on it again to do a beat. And I'm not even worried about saving it at this point until I get to something I like. And it's just that exercise of playing with sound.
That's great. There's a crunching sound in your background that I'm wondering what it is.
I liked that.
Yeah, I do too.
Very frightening.
Yeah, it's this big crunching sound. Or is it just your persona? Is it just the demons?
Yeah, well, I did keep them up last night, so they may be having some fun. It could also be a fan.
I'm gonna
Okay, that's kind of
diagnose-
boring.
Yeah, well, okay, never mind.
Fan boring. You should have said fucking fan, man. Like that was, we were in the palm of your hand. No, gone now.
It was definitely him.
There you go. That's good. See, that's what all you had to say. Oh, demons.
Well, the audio pareidolia that comes from a fan is wonderful.
Especially when you're screaming it. There's another weird fucking thing because it bounces it back to you at the rate of the fan. So you get this really interesting thing. No, seriously, you should try it. Ivan, talk to me.
Yeah, the concept of getting back into things after having taken a break has definitely been something I've been dealing with. Yeah, I would say that like the first step is fix the thing that has gotten you away. You know, like undo that blockage, because as long as that's still there, it's still going to be a problem. And then after that, oh geez, I mean, it's like so many choices. But like getting like or one of the things that happened while I was sick, I kind of stopped listening to other people's music. Even like I was just sitting in silence all day. So I'm trying to listen to new stuff again, and that's helping. Um, just like wandering over to the big keyboard and just like practicing my scales is actually pretty helpful, because it's getting my hands back and getting my brain back to being re-engaged. So I'm up to the point where I'm starting to write songs again. Mostly I'm writing all the parts for songs, and I still need to sit down and arrange them. And bring it all together. But that's getting closer and better as days go by.
That's good. Thank you. No, thank you. Oh God, this gets into the discipline thing. So, I found a band. I'm on a '90s Australian music bender right now, and I found a band called Happy Land that I totally forgot about, which is one of the bands that inspired Angelspit. So go listen to Happy Land. Fucking great. And the Divinals, and Rob's getting all excited now. A whole bunch of models, all that shit. Bands you've never fucking heard of that are amazing. Like, Jesus. Fucking awesome bands. Never made it here. So I'm listening to that because it's a real cleanser. And it's also nice to listen to stuff that you listened to when you were a kid and go, oh, I love this. But now listening back to it when you're a grumpy old fart. I'm not old, so just a grumpy fart. And you can actually hear why. Like the Rock Melons, like they predated fucking Jamiroquai, and I love Jamiroquai, and they have got the funk. And yeah, Rock Melons, man, fucking tits. And you listen to their shit, and you go, okay, that Moog. Here's Alex. That bass is a Moog. It's a mini Moog, no fucking around. Played live, and you can hear the funk in that thing, and you can hear the growl in that fucking mini Moog. And it's really simple, laying it down, brilliant grooves. And that's, exercising a lot of the muscles, talking about old shit that you have, exercising the muscles. But one thing really is exercising the muscles. And I'm actually trying to get back into stretching, because I'm aware that, so over the, dude, Jamiroquai, one of the most amazing fucking gigs I ever saw was actually Jamiroquai. And he did a James Brown. I've mentioned this before. James Brown used to conduct the band with his feet. They had like a 20-piece band on stage that they took to fucking Australia. He was directing him with his feet. And I was watching, and that motherfucker danced for 2 hours like a demon. It was so good. Oh, Jesus, they had the funk. But yeah, so I'm getting into stretches, and I'm trying to improve on my physicalities as well. I just want to, unless somebody else wants to, I want to go on a rant. Bum, 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 rant. Okay, Brett, Razi, you go first before I go off on my fucking
No,
rant.
just real quick. It's time for your rant, but I wanted to say I'm proud of us so far for not saying, okay, go buy a new synthesizer. That's really good.
I know,
Thank
but
you.
I know,
Thank you.
see, Ivan has been looking at reverb.
No, that was me.
Hey, there's a K2000 in my future somewhere.
I know. Suddenly
Yeah.
I feel like I need a mini Moog. I don't know what's going on.
K2000 the mini Moog on the K2000 is pretty fucking amazing. In
Pretty
fact,
good.
it's one of the best mini Moogs I have ever heard. And it's synthesized, it ain't sampled.
Oh,
It's so fucking good. And if you're gonna buy a synth, how about you throw a percentage of whatever you spend on Drake, because Drake needs our help right now.
When the time comes, I can do that.
Needs our help. Okay, so Alex, good to see you.
Yes.
I've just got to warn you, I'm fasting right now, so I don't want to see you eating a pizza. It's the art of food all over the
No
world.
pizza today.
Oh, just as well. So here comes a rant. So the other night, Melody from Melody Zenith came over with her cat Howl, who's the cutest fucking little guy, because we're trying to have a play date with Frank and Howl. Went better than I was expecting. Frank is a motherfucker. He's like the cutest thing, but he's a street fighter and he made it, and he's a big cat. He's a big fucker. And it was kind of cute because he was on the floor growling at sweet little Hell at this one point, and I could feel the floor vibrating with Frank's growls. And it's like, I don't like him going there. I don't, I've got to be careful because I'm a very protective dad. Anyway, so we've got to get him out of that. So I always have, and Melanie and I always talk about music, and if you're not into melodies, and you should be. She's a fucking good composer. Her and Disraeli, holy shit, those guys carve it up. We were having a conversation about how the closed-mindedness, it's getting harder to, in order for you to make music, you have to define where the wall is. The wall of, I get offended by that, or the wall of, oh, I don't know about that. Oh, that's kind of weird. This is all about what David Lynch was talking about. Like, you have to find your limit and you have to keep going. And the limit isn't just about what you can play, your musical understanding. It's also about your concept of what you think is right, what you think is okay, what you think is acceptable. You have to keep going. Because so often you're writing a lyric or you're writing on something and you go, oh, that's just too crazy. You got to keep going. You can't shut it down. You've got to keep going. And you've got to define where that wall is. You've got to crawl on top of the wall. Thank you, Dark Master Tarot. I knew it was tarot, but I said tarot because fuck off, Ivan. You got to keep going. And you've got to find that place of what offends you. And you've got to go there. And don't worry about your audience. Don't worry about how this is going to be interpreted or misinterpreted. Please fucking remember that the songs and the music you write, they are going to outlive whatever bullshit is going on right now. They will. Because somebody is going to pull that song into their memory and they are going to own it. And it's going to live in their head. So give them the best that you can possibly do. And remember that you cannot interpret or misinterpret what or how people are going to interpret this or leave this or whatever. Because, music is this profound mirror. It's this weird fucking galactic mirror that not only is it reflecting you, but it's reflecting the baggage, the unknowns, and everything else. So just fucking keep going. Ivan?
As always, the life's greatest rewards are just outside of your comfort zone. Like, just on the other side of it. Like, you can see
Wow.
it. When you go and get it, it ends up happening. And, as we were talking about, before we started, the dead Kennedys were not afraid of getting past comfort zones.
Well, there's another thing. We were talking about kickstarting the engine again. Brett, I see your hand. Listen to some of the shit Jello Biafra goes on about. Listen to fucking Joe Strummer. Listen to Henry fucking Rollins. Listen to Frank fucking Zappa. And then listen to Frank Zappa again, because that will get, there's this engine inside you as a musician, and I will stand by it, that creating art, creating music is, I think it's so, I was thinking schools need to teach music and actual composition of music. They also need to teach comedy. Okay, kids, we're going to divide ourselves into 3 groups, and in this box has got something, and this box is going to, and you pull it out, and it's an apple and a Shakespearean book. You need to come up with a joke that brings those two things together. Like, and that's what is in comedy and is in music that we keep fucking forgetting, is that not only is it this fucking thought process that's beyond anything else, but it's this problem solving technique that sometimes the worst possible thing you can do is the best possible thing you do, and sometimes the best possible thing you can do is not necessarily the best thing you can do. Sometimes, and the only place that I really see that level of problem solving is in art and comedy, but I don't know a lot about comedy, but art. And that's why I think art's important. Austin, I see your hand, but I'm going to throw it to Brett first. Brett, hit me.
So one thing that you were saying that kind of reminded me of also a description where you were talking about painting and or at least how it and for me I go back and forth between writing lyrics to offend or cause disturbances, and also just kind of letting the mind's eye do what it does. It's just, so I forgot exactly because we've covered some territory. Where all I was going with that was kind of the point to where it meant. In where I kind of see it with you is like, okay, you were talking about using the razor and sometimes less paint is more, or moving away to where that the viewer can actually impart their own story to it. I think that's a helpful thing. I forgot I didn't make this one elegant, but yeah, that was the general idea.
Oh, awesome. Also, once again, Bob Ross. Dude, if you're in a fucking rut, watch Bob Ross. Like, just go, okay, so how do I do this with music? Austin, what do you think?
I think that we lost a lot. They call the comedy and music folkum, and we lost a lot of that. And I hate to bring up the name, but like Johnny Cash's Air, there were funny songs with the Grateful Dead. You kind of had to pick and find these jokes. But thrash metal kind of brought it back, and punk brought it back with the Dead Kennedys. Let's lynch the landlord. Are we gonna go lynch the landlord? No, but we sure would love to joke about it. Or stealing people's mail. I think nowadays people have gotten that convoluted, and so we come from a darker side of comedy, and even you, Carl. Angelspit has definitely had its jokes and jabs that are they're serious, but they're also jokingly there, and that's I don't draw the line there, but I do miss that. In the 70s, some of the folkum was accepted, but nowadays it's less accepted, and you have to figure out where to draw the line because you may offend a bunch of people from California, in business suits or whatever.
Yes, I agree. Thank you. And this is what it's going back to, is that it's important. Like somebody once said to me that my jester's privilege has been revoked, and that became a song. And it was so right that I think, and I will always go back to, the most important person to offend is yourself. Because it's, you can't, you've got to get back to offending yourself. You've got to get back to genuinely getting in there and questioning what you believe, what you experience, what you act, and how you act and react. Like, it's so important as an artist to do this to yourself, lyrically, but also in the musicality, also in your choice of instruments, also in all that shit. God, I wish I'd listened to my own fucking advice. Razi, help.
Is Dr. Demento subversive?
Okay, help. Who's Dr. Demento?
Really?
Yeah, really.
That's cool.
Really? They're coming to take me away.
Anybody want to jump in on that one, or should I?
No, I thought that was the Residents.
No, Dr. Demento is a DJ, syndicated DJ that would be on late night Sunday nights on your local station that played weird, old, comedy, satirical, rare, collectible, started Weird Al's career ostensibly. You know, the age of fish heads and grandma got run over by a reindeer. And I really identified with Dr. Demento, you know, like as a countercultural kind of throwback to 70s and 60s culture. But he was playing things back to the 20s, you know, like weird, strange, rare. I don't remember it being particularly subversive, but certainly not mainstream cultural. And I'm wondering where that fits in with other people's experience of subversion.
Now, that's very interesting. Ivan, do you want to throw in on this or any other topic?
Well, he was really good at finding ancient material that was kind of subversive on its own, especially, you know, in the context of its own times. He was also really good at playing these fairly old songs and leading you to believe that they were actually quite new. Like he was pretty good at that. Like, you know, because mostly because, you know, these were often tracks that were rare enough that you probably hadn't heard them before, and then boom, oh, whoa, I've never heard anything like that. And yeah, he was, you know, fairly big deal back in the late 70s, early 80s, especially.
Uh,
You
Yeah,
know,
big
and
nerd culture bonding among the weirdos in my
yes,
fourth grade class for sure.
and you know, like it was difficult to get into him and not end up on a Subgenius website.
okay, this is very fascinating. Brett put a link in there which I've just shared with everyone. Thank you. Fascinating. And that's another thing is that when you like, I don't know, as far as like getting back to the how do you get back into it, look at the comedy you were watching when you were a kid. When music and everything was like the sweet smell of dirt gardening. You know what I mean? That really inspiring moment. I've always like I've got keyboard magazines here that I smell. I flip through them and I smell because the smell fucking puts me straight back in that moment. For God's sake, turn your fucking phone on. And I just will also say, because Ivan, I see your hand, is that it's really fucking important that understanding that there is a wall in place. There is a neurological wall that is stopping you from being creative. Some of you don't have that problem, and that's incredible. You need to write a book, and that book will sell in the millions. I'm telling you right now, everybody else has that fucking problem. The wall, the thing that is stopping you only exists in your mind, and it is fear or frustration or fucking something. The way you have to get through that is through motivation and pure energy and defiance. In order to defy yourself, to offend yourself, you have to get through that fucking wall. If you used to write on pen and paper when you were a kid, go out, buy yourself a pen and a music book or whatever, and start writing like that again. The internet and the modern age has made everything too easy, I think. And part of the artistic movement is the struggle. That's what I think, at least. Might be different for you. Ivan, what do you think?
And you know, I'm from the upper Midwest. You may have experienced it when you were up here. The sense of humor around here gets kind of dark by default, because we end up having to see funny in things that are pretty vicious or mean-spirited. And you know, being able to point at yourself in the mirror and laugh is equally important. You know, because like it seems like everybody's gotten used to the idea of not doing that.
Thank you. Here's another really interesting thing as to how everything has changed, is that in this modern day and age, if somebody came along doing something like Dr. Demento, A, could they do it? And B, I'm assuming Dr. Demento was PBS or public broadcasting? or was
Syndicated. He started out on local radio, but it was distributed to your station and played off of an LP or a tape or whatever, a cart.
interesting? I fucking love that shit. What's really fascinating is that shit wouldn't happen now. Maybe it is happening now, and I'm just not aware of it, and we're not aware of it. Maybe, I don't know. But what I'm saying is that something like, and also sure, media has changed, and the way that media gets sent around has changed. But it's just really because I'm reading some of these comments. Thank you, Alistair, and everybody else. I'm reading like how it was available in the weirdest places. Wasn't available in Australia. There you go. But it sounds like this is very typical of the Australian sense of humor. Australia had like a whole bunch of Monty Pythons, so I guess we were covered. And that's another wonderful thing is that, you know, weird humor, it opens your mind. Did anybody else want to jump in at this point? Does anybody want to jump in at this point? Talk to me. I see your hand, Austin.
Yeah, I think Ivan, he said something really important. It's important to be able to look at yourself in the mirror and laugh at, you know, whether it's a failure or anything like that. But it's also important to look yourself in the mirror and say, hey, I love you, buddy. You know, and if you wake up every morning and you do that, the power that that brings you, and I know it sounds weird, but I mean it just brings you this healing energy that's really important, and you know, not to throw away any dark humor or anything like that. And then also I wanted to add that I think the last art of rock, you said one good way to get back into making music is start a little bit of a side project. Maybe don't even complete the side project and then go back to doing what you were doing originally, you know. And that's the best advice that I've gotten from you guys, you know. So I just appreciate it, and thanks for putting the love down on me.
Thank you, Austin. It's very kind. Does anybody else want to jump in at this point? I always say that. Does anybody else want to jump in at this point? Or we could go into a different place. I'm out of ideas here. Look at me, I'm out of ideas. If you were to start a side project, what would it look like? What would your side project be?
Survival research laboratories.
I love it. Hold on, Alex, I'm going to throw back to you, Brett. I want to hear everyone. Alex, your hand.
I have like 3 side project ideas in my head, but of course none have songs attached to them. It's just about vibes and ideas and like making up artists.
Do you want to tell us about it? You're making up artists.
Yeah, I think of a persona and think what kind of songs would this person write.
Tell me about this persona.
So one is like this person who really was into music but fell off of it, and then at retirement he started to make music again and made the weirdest shit ever with acoustic instruments. Like it's just him, his acoustic guitar, and a lot of weirdness. And the name of that project was Peter Goblin, but with an I for some reason, because that felt right. And that was like one shower. Sorry, that was one session in the shower where it all like manifested in my brain.
Bam.
I never wrote it down, but it's like an idea that just keeps on popping up.
You know, that's really fantastic because you can channel Peter Goblin. And you could go in a song like this. And same with all these other guys. When you daydream, because daydreaming is important, kids, build these characters. Build up who they are. Become them in your daydreams and what they do. And then start asking yourself, when the song hits a wall, well, how would Peter Goblin get through this? That shit's fucking super powerful.
So the second one is 10,000 Psycho Cops. And it was the same shower, not the same shower session, but the same physical shower. And it's like very 90s, very drum and bass, very cheesy with like text to speech voices that go 10,000 psycho cops, and then like the cheesiest samples you ever heard.
I love it. Oh, what's the third one?
I'm too embarrassed to tell that, but it's also
Okay.
electronic, but more fun.
All right. Um, these are great because, like I said, use them as a writing partner. And you might go, that's too cheesy, but 10,000 Psycho Cops would do that. So fucking give it a try. Because also remember that these cheesy ideas spiked your imagination. And how many times have you worked on a song and you come back and you listen to it and you go, I don't know. But at the time it was like, oh my God, that's fucking awesome. Try and trust the oh my God, that's fucking awesome instinct. Maybe. Did you want to add anything else? Rizzy, I see your hand, but can I throw this to Brett? Brett, tell me more about Survival Research Laboratories.
All right. Well, they actually exist, but if I could create a fantasy side project, I would blend Survival Research Labs with the Flesh Fair from AI, and musicality would be very much like we're doing now, probably a little more metal-edged or something to that regard. But think of it like a show where by the end of it, you definitely need to sign a waiver to attend the show. And then by the end of it, well, the machines that made the show may or may not exist anymore.
I like that. Thank you. I remember Survival Research Labs. Fascinating shit. And wasn't there a research? Yeah, they did a whole magazine on Survival Research Labs.
Oh, the guy's still around. He's on YouTube. Paul something or another.
Mark Pauline.
Mark Pauline. Yep. And he still does interviews and whatnot. Still builds stuff. It's his art.
Fascinating. Good stuff. I remember I went to they had this kind of like destructive robot thing in Sydney in the early 90s, and I went to that mid 90s. And it was in this big warehouse where people they were squatters and they built destructive robots out of car parts. And I realized that closed environment cars driving around, a lot of fucking smog built up very quickly. And it's interesting how that didn't do me a lot of good because of asthma and anybody breathing that shit. But it was fucking fascinating. It was really fascinating. Very inspiring. Does anybody else want to jump in at this point, or can I throw it to the Mr. Razzie? Razzie, the floor is yours.
I don't want a side project. I want to join a side project. I want to join a band playing bass. I think it's a Rickenbacker, and I think it's a Coliseum, Sun Coliseum, and like SVT cab. And I get to do backing vocals, but I don't have to write any songs. And there's definitely, due to the size of this thing and the weight of the bass, a really good bass tech roadie.
That's fair. Well, I hear that 10,000 Psycho Cops are looking for 9,999 players.
The 4,001 bass.
There you go. I love it. That's brilliant. I wanted to fucking see this in the cinemas, the Pink Floyd Pompeii gig. And they showed it, and I wanted to go, and of course I didn't because I'm a bastard. But the thing about that gig that pisses me off is they're in the sun, and I can't stand, because I'm such a prude. Even if something's in the sun, it's like, but I really wanted to see that because it was so fucking inspiring. Razzie, your hand is still up.
I haven't watched that in 30 years, man. It comes up in my suggested YouTube videos like every week, but that's a hell of a piece.
Yes, they released it in IMAX, and I was going to go see it because the fucking Hollywood bullshit's just up the road, and I wanted to see it at the Chinese theater, but I didn't because they suck. I wanted to see something else there, and I can't remember what it was. Is there anybody else burning to talk about something fantastic, or we could rank vampires. No, Rob, not vampires.
As he needs to play bass for Kit and Cole.
Yeah, yeah,
That would do it.
that'll do it. Have you ever tried putting a EBO on your bass?
Yeah.
Does that
Do it.
work?
I'll do it now. Not as well, no, as guitar, but
So you've got like, all right, great. The are we gonna actually be able to hear it? So just like go, oh wow, this is working. It's working?
You are muted.
no, it's to the string centering to get it up close to the string and staying in place where it rests on the two other strings it doesn't work for this scale. It does work on the bass 6 to some extent, but it's the geometry is wrong to get it comfortable on this. You can get it to go on an acoustic guitar a little bit even and sort of get it going on a bass, but it's definitely
If you run it over the feedbacks, does it put out a kind of a distorted signal? Over the pickups.
You can get a lot of gain if you put it in the sweet spot. Not at the pickup, but you got to find the spots that it resonates at.
Because I put one on the blaster beam and it's like, wow, it's fucking great. I put the blaster beam away the other day just because I'm not using it for the moment in space. I'll pull it out again soon. Does anybody else want to jump in at this stage, or should we raid? There it is.
Hey, thank you guys so much. It's been
Pleasure.
a beautiful experience.
Same time next week. You've got the fucking URL, so jump on in.
Yeah, thank you so much.
We're gonna bugger off unless anybody wants to talk about anything else that's fucking insanely amazing. Okay, we're gonna rate to MTV TV. I'm gonna do the usual, very super exciting sign out. Yeah, I'm gonna do that exciting sign out right now. This is every Saturday. Join us for the amazingness, the burning, uncontrollable incredibleness that is Heart of Rock. And it's also on YouTube. So take your pick wherever it is you choose to go. This is brought to you by Angelspit's Patreon. Do me a favor, if you can, join up. It's $3 a month or more if you want. And if you can't afford it, don't worry about it. Just join as a free member because a whole bunch of this shit's free. Angelspit's new album, Red End, is also on the Patreon. That's going to go out to Patreon supporters very soon, probably next week. And thank you again to everybody who backed it. Jesus, thank you so much. Please remember the Industrial Incisions playlist. Please go find your new favorite band. And if you are on it, please fucking promote it because we have to help each other out. I will hopefully see you on Wednesday night at Vulture Culture's thing where we talk about synthesizers and drink. And it's bloody awesome. Razi, as always, thank you for taking up the weight.
And thank you ever so much for hosting us, sir.
An absolute pleasure. Alex, if you want more fucking amazingness, there's Alex's bloody thing. Jump on some Alex music. We were also joined by Brett. There's some of Brett's music. Ivan was on here. Here's some of Ivan's music. Super Tablespoon, when you get a minute, throw me your shit, and I'm going to put that in the thing as well. And we were joined earlier by Carrie, who's now on my bad books because she's eating fucking spare ribs.
I'm empty on the music right now, but we will get you some. We will get you some.
You what?
Said I'm empty on the music right now, but we will get you some soon.
Let's do it. And when it goes live, let me know the URL and I will include you. And please join us again next Saturday. I don't know what else I should talk about right now, except maybe we need to host on over to MTV TV. MTV TV's got a Patreon. Back their Patreon. We need to keep them going. And finally, and most importantly, if you got a couple of bucks rolling around, give it to Drake. He needs it. Drake's one of the family. We got to keep him okay. Right now, we are going to raid to MTV TV. And you're going to find your new band. We're going to hang back here and have a chat. Diana, hit the magic raid button. Hit the magic raid button. You're the best. And tell me when that raid has happened, and then we shall bugger off. Bugger off to Raid Land. We did it?
We did it.
Awesome. We did it. Okay, so thank you. You bloody rock. See you next week. Can I find the end button? No, that's the end meeting. I don't want to do that because we're going to stand back here and have a chat.